Feel the weight of that.
Oh, well, yeah. This is 18 months worth of work.
Yeah, I've been doing more stuff. What a cool assembly of stuff that is. Just front yard mechanics don't make mistakes. Plus or minus f***ing nothing. Give me the right size, you should always have 24 injectors in your V12 Supra. It's not like you can test them when they're 3D printed or anything. Of course they're going to explode. Remember that?
I do.
That was plastic last time.
It was.
Mm.
It was. Wasn't quite so detailed either.
No. I added some bits.
You've added a lot of bits. Why have you got two different size holes?
Well, one's for a big thing and one's for a small thing.
Yeah.
Big hole.
Yeah.
Your big hole.
Yep.
Yep. Small hole, small hole, small hole, small. So these three big boys, they go all the way through the other side and clamp onto the water pump.
Makes sense.
The water pump that wasn't even designed last episode, let alone prototyped, let alone made out of aluminums.
Aluminums.
So now that is made, water pump housing.
Nice.
And the sole purpose for me doing a CNC machine water pump housing was so I could have a flange on top of it. Because the stock one has a big cast dougal.
Yep.
And I thought about just chopping it off and then welding a flange onto it. And then I'm like, wait a second, this is QUICKSHIFT and I'm autistic. So I just make a whole new water pump housing to put a flange on it. And then those big bolts go all the way through all two pieces to clamp it all together. And then the small bolts just secure the top housing down.
See, I knew there'd be a reason.
That bad boy goes in there, presses into place, and then this guy goes on top and seals up, and boom. Engine has a thermostat. What a cool assembly of stuff that is. There are 10 individual CNC machine parts just because I wanted the thermostat to be this much further down.
It's been 18 months. These are intricate, but that's not 18 months worth of work. This is 18 months worth of work.
Yeah, I've been doing more stuff. I got distracted.
Did you now?
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half, is remaking my parts in a different color. So as you can see, some people are getting QUICKSHIFT V12s.
That's got to be exciting now.
Yeah. Two different transmissions, Tremec TR6060 and Magnum T56. So there's two options.
Love it.
It's not as heavy as you'd expect, is it?
It's not, but it's very sturdy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Klingon bat'leth. Go.
Make it part of your hand.
Well, we got BPP to sort of partner up with us and do the fuel rails for the V12. And they put a little QUICKSHIFT logo. Water pipes for water to pipe around the place. This just looks like a QUICKSHIFT coin, but it does have a purpose, and I'll show you on the car. Look at this way. I designed an oil cap, which is the exact gear profile of the QUICKSHIFT logo on the outside as the grip.
Nice.
And then the inner bit is a press-in thing. I'm not going to press it in because then, look, there's a reason I'm not going to press it in. Because the reason I made it two-piece was I thought, well, if I just machine it, then I've got no idea where it's going to clock when I tighten it up, right? So I thought, when I tighten them up, I want the logo to always be facing up. Sort of a Bentley sort of.
Bentley. Ford Falcon!
I was
wheel cap idea.
just thinking the Rolls-Royce one, yeah.
So
you could have done that. You could have just weighted it and put it on a bearing.
See, I thought about that. But then I thought the vibrations of the engine and all of that stuff when it's running, it's probably gonna do spinnies and get some sort of whip going. So I thought, well, why don't I make it a separate piece, interference fit, so when I tighten it up, I can also mark the location and press it exactly on the right angle so that that oil cap is a matched set for that valve cover to always be upright.
That's actually really nice.
Yeah, I actually made one for you. Also, you owe me $50. Covers.
Covers.
So, They've been made with all this bracing and this pattern, which actually suits the original baffles that go in the factory covers, right?
Nice.
So those baffles, you unbolt them from the old covers, you bolt them in here, they retain all the tube seals, and they make it so the whole breather system works exactly like factory. So you don't have to run off to a catch can and collect all the oil that spews out. It's going to do that separation shit as it did from the factory. Feel the weight of that.
Oh, well, yeah.
So it's actually a bit of a challenge to get them to not warp during machining.
Yeah.
A challenge for the machinists, not me. But they are flat. And believe it or not, I thought these were going to be like 1-2 kilos more than the stock magnesium covers, because I mean, magnesium, die cast, it's like as light as anything can be.
Yeah.
Less than 200 grams in it.
Short for in it.
I'm absolutely thrilled at how light I managed to get that. It's like,
I mean, they are light, but I didn't realise they'd be that close.
And they run the original Toyota seal as well, so there's no special aftermarket O-ring or anything. The stock Toyota seal does go in there, and that's all you need to use. Pressure testing time. Right, we need to make sure the intake manifold actually seals, all the air stays inside and stuff, because we kind of haven't made sure of that yet. I've made up these plates, one for each bank. They block up the intake ports so air can't go down past the valves and leak out. So we can just isolate just the parts we've made, just the intake manifold, and see if all the air stays inside. I need to coat them in something so they'll seal. This is like spray tan, but for engines. It's called copper gasket cement. It's basic. Look, if you know about this stuff, you'll be like, yeah, whatever. If you've never seen this before, it's like, oh my God, it's magic. You literally spray on a gasket. No shit. This is just like goopy, thick, sealy material. They even use this on head gaskets when you reuse them. Don't reuse head gaskets. But I mean, when we were building the Camry, that was kind of a tight-ass project, so I'm just saying maybe we reuse the head gaskets. I'm just going to sit this on the engine and wait a few minutes for it to go nice and tacky. Kind of like painting, really. Okay, get that. Who designed this shit? There we go. You don't have to wash my hands now for that. And yeah, I mean, while it's true I could have used actual gaskets, like intake manifold gaskets, to seal this, I've got brand new gaskets for building this engine, and the last thing I want to do is use them over and over, you know, test assembling shit and like make them all used and worn and crappy and the sealant comes off them and stuff. Seems like a waste of perfectly good gaskets. So that's why I'm spraying this gold shit everywhere. Copper shit. Oh, this stuff's well stuck on me now. That stuff should be tacky, sticky, whatever. Gonna get the first piece of the puzzle. Lower runners. The good thing about these block-off plates is it blocks off the injector holes as well, so I don't have to actually put all the injectors in, and the other set of injectors are blocked off by these, well, block-offs, which I made for people that want to buy the kit and don't want to run 24 injectors, which should be no one, because you should always have 24 injectors in your V12 Supra. You'll also notice I've fitted my gunmetal valve covers this time to see how it contrasts with the raw silver stuff. I think they look pretty fucking excellent. Now the big question is how much pressure should we test this to? Because we've got about 110 psi at our disposal from the air compressor, but I mean, it's unlikely we'll be deciding to run 110 psi of boost. But I'm thinking maybe double whatever boost we ever imagine running. Let's say if we're gonna go to a maximum of 30 psi, then maybe we should pressure test to about 60. Now that the lower runners are bolted down, we need to load it up with O-rings to seal between each runner and the doodads. What's it called? Upper runners, there we go. So they just go in these little pre-machined grooves. Well, they would. Pretty excited to see if this actually seals, because, you know, this has been like 2 years of developing, and every step of the way I've had to think about bolting it together and sealing up and keeping it sealed over a long period of time and yada yada yada. But the only way to test its sealing is to make the parts and test them. It's not like you can test them when they're 3D printed or anything. Of course they're going to explode. You just have to sort of yeet it, spend all the money, make the parts, and then test it and see if they work. You know, really testing my knowledge as a completely unqualified engineer. Glorified backyard mechanic. Does that make me like a front yard mechanic or something? How does it work? The other cool bit I've got this time is my gold runners. Because in the beginning, I tried to make a different color of gold, and as you long-term viewers will remember, it came out more of a bronze. But this time, I have another set, which is actually gold, because I like gold.
I love gold!
Mostly because I think this gold goes much better with the red car. Yeah. Just the kit of fasteners to bolt this intake manifold together is going to be like a $200 optional extra, for fuck's sake. When we first tested the sealing of these plenums, I had some black O-ring material and it struggled to pull up, so what I actually ordered in is some red stuff, because red seals better than black. Now, in all seriousness, this is a silicon-based one and its hardness is less, or its compressibility is more, so this should help it to squish a little easier than that black stuff did, and just, I don't know, be a little more balanced and not require a huge amount of torque to compress up. I've already pre-made those O-rings and put them in there. Also blocked up all the vacuum lines. The other big change since last episode is these polished plenums. I originally got them all, you know, polished to a mirror because I was planning on anodizing them, but when you anodize a polished surface, it creates a, you know, a different look, a different effect. But after seeing them polished, I kind of thought, fuck, that looks so good, I might just leave them like that. You know, call me a poser, because I am. Yeah. All right, next up, O-rings for the stalks, because technically air can leak past the stalk, past the bolt that holds it in. It's unlikely to leak, like the bolt should seal it up, but just in case, I did put an O-ring groove on it, right there, so we can put these little O-rings. Now, I discovered on my first attempt to put these O-rings on that this titanium bloody shit is extremely sharp. It's like a knife and it just nicks the O-ring. So I 3D printed this little hat thing. It just slips over there and acts as a guide and protector and expander and whatever for the O-rings. You just go boop and it doesn't slice them up. I'm doing double O-rings because I can, because I just made it big enough for that. Give them a little lube so they slide in nicely. And back in its hole. Something about this just seems very phallic. Maybe it's the rolling a condom on thing going on here. Yeah, it is. So, oh yeah, I'm ready for it. Couldn't even fit a bee's dick in there. So you see, as I'm pulling up just the middle one, it is closing the gap up all the way from the front to the back quite evenly. So that means the whole plenum and the runners are an extremely rigid assembly, which is very comforting, because I originally wasn't sure whether I should do 6 or 3 stalks, whether I'd have to compensate for some twist and flex, or whether it will be quite rigid, and I decided I was just going to assume it's going to be very rigid. And I feel like now that assumption was correct. Now for my favourite bit. So these connectors here tie the whole system together, connecting the throttle body to the plenums. I've put a double O-ring on each end for no other reason than because I can. I thought, well, if one O-ring seals, then 2 O-rings is definitely going to seal. How do you keep your hands so soft? Fucking PBR rubber grease? It's my secret. Maybelline.
Maybe she's born with it.
Maybe it's PBR. Not the right thread. Should seal, but I need to put O-rings in that bit there, that one and that one, and it's kind of upside down and they'll fall out, so maybe I need to bolt the plate in first. So I'm just putting an O-ring in one side because we're going to have to take this plate off and spin it over to do the other side here. Clamp that there, start putting bolts. Also, a big f*** you to America. The throttle body, being that it's off an American car, was made for 1/4-inch UNF bolts for a car that you can buy in like 2020. For sake. So I went out of my way to order in some 7mm metric fasteners, which also fit through the hole, just to keep everything on this car metric, even the imperial bits are metric. It's a yeah. That is ready to get some pressure. Let's get a gauge. So this should screw on there maybe? Yes, that'll do. That's a big barb. That's a big, again, we're gonna need an excise up hose, maybe. Oh, that is tight. That's definitely this hose's first time. Oh, okay. But I'm just gonna do a little test run to make sure the gauge and everything's working. And 20. Sounds like air's coming out of something, doesn't it? Not sure what I forgot. Something's allowing some air to escape somewhere. If it's above that thing, it's where I glued the O-ring together. If it's like right on that spot above the bolt. Yeah, I put it right above that end bolt, so I knew if it was leaking, it'd be out of there. So we're gonna have to get a little more proper about how we make these O-rings rather than just gluing the ends together. Might have to get some actual O-rings made properly, you know, the ends melted together. not with glue to start. Shitty one. Yesterday we detected the air leak somewhere on this intake, which I think is from the Plenum O-ring. I went home, I did not cry, I just had something in my eye. And now I decided we're going to smoke test it and just make sure it is leaking from where we think it's leaking from. Then we can come up with a plan to hopefully unfuck this situation. Oh, hello. Well, that's actually probably the best thing that could have been. It's those injector bosses where I use the copper spray to try and seal it. Clearly that was not sufficient, or like all the other runners are sealing fine. It's just that one at the back is bubbling away. The bit that I thought would be the failure point is just fine. So, that method of sealing looks fine. It's just that one on the end must have had a little bit of a defect in the copper spray or something. There's two ways we can solve this right now. I could pull it all apart and recoat that thing, or actually put proper gaskets in there or something like that. So what I'd say this is a case of is me being lazy, really biting me. Not really lazy, I just didn't want to consume a couple of gaskets, but I'll pop some brand new intake gaskets in there and seal it up as God intended and test it all again. It's going to take me a while to pull all this shit apart, so see you tomorrow. 10 pounds, 20 pounds. Gonna go straight for 50 PSI. 70 PSI?